They laughed like it was nothing, like she wasn't standing right there hearing it all. The noon sun beat down on Socorro's town square, turning dust to fire. Eliza Monroe stood on the auction platform with her chin up and her hands clenched white at her sides, trying to remember what it felt like before the whole town decided she was nothing. $60 for 5 years' service. Going once. The laughter rolled through the crowd like thunder. Men she'd taught their letters to. Women who'd brought her father soup when he was dying. All of them watching. All of them silent. Or worse. Cole Brennan stood at the edge, hat pulled low. He'd come for feed grain, not this. But when her eyes found his across that sea of faces, two people drowning in different ways, something in him cracked open. 6 years of silence, 6 years of standing aside. Not again. He stepped forward. She didn't thank him when he paid the debt, just stared at his boots like she was memorizing the pattern. The auctioneer's hand froze mid-gesture when Cole reached the platform steps. 60, Cole said, not loud. Didn't need to be. The crowd went quiet. Sheriff Pritchard shifted his weight, hand near his belt. The auctioneer looked to him, got a tight nod. Sold to Mr. Brennan, papers to be signed at the land office. Cole didn't look at Eliza. Counted out bills from his vest pocket, money meant for winter feed and fence wire. The auctioneer's agent took them with fingers that shook slightly, like he knew something wrong had just been made legal. Eliza stood frozen, waiting for him to say something, do something, tell her what she was now. Come on, Cole said. Still not looking, not at her, not at the crowd. She stepped down. Her legs worked, which surprised her. The laughter had stopped, but the silence was worse. All those eyes following as she walked behind a stranger who'd just bought her like cattle. Mrs. Henley stood in the store doorway, hands twisting her apron, opened her mouth, closed it. Did nothing. Nobody did nothing. At the hitching post, Cole's bay gelding waited. He untied the reins, swung up, reached a hand down to her without meeting her eyes. She looked at his palm, work-scarred, honest, and wanted to scream, wanted to run, wanted to ask why. But her father had taught her one thing before he died. When you got no choices, take what's offered and figure the rest later. She took his hand. He pulled her up behind him, and she had to grip his waist to keep from falling. Felt him go rigid at her touch, close enough to feel he was breathing too fast, close enough to know he was scared too. They rode out of Socorro with the whole town watching. 15 miles of high desert stretched between town and wherever he was taking her. Eliza kept her eyes on the horizon, mountains purple with distance, sky too big to hide under. Cole didn't speak, didn't look back. Just rode steady and tense, like he was carrying something breakable and didn't trust his hands. The sun climbed, sweat ran down her spine. She wanted water, wanted shade, wanted to understand what kind of man buys a woman and says nothing. The land changed slow, rocky hills giving way to grassland dotted with cattle. Good land. Whoever he wasn't poor, which meant he could have bought anything at that auction. Tools, horses, a better saddle than the worn one she was gripping. He bought her instead. Why? She studied the back of his head, hat brim casting shadow, shoulders set like he was expecting something to hit him. Wedding ring, catching sun, when he adjusted the reins. Her stomach went cold. Oh, maybe she understood after all? Maybe she just traded one kind of owing for another? An hour in, they passed a wooden sign hanging crooked. Broken Bell Ranch. The ranch house appeared over a rise. Adobe and timber, practical and plain. Barn, corral, windmill turning lazy in the heat. One old oak tree providing the only real shade for miles. An older man stood at the corral fence, lean and weathered, Mexican, maybe 60. He watched them approach with eyes that saw too much. Cole reined in. Tomas. Boss. The older man's gaze moved to Eliza, gentle and assessing. Back to Cole. Something passed between them. A conversation in silence. She'll stay in the storage room, Cole said. Dismounted. Didn't help her down. Get it ready. See? Tomas moved toward the house but paused. Senorita, you need water? The kindness in his voice nearly broke her. Please, she whispered. First word she'd spoken since the platform. Cole flinched like she'd struck him, walked toward the barn without looking back. Tomas watched him go, shook his head slightly, turned to Eliza with a small, sad smile. Come, you're safe here. She didn't believe him, but she followed anyway, because what else was there? The storage room was small but clean, bed with quilts that smelled like cedar, basin and pitcher, one window looking out toward the barn. Tomas brought her water, tortillas wrapped in cloth, coffee that was still warm, set them on the small table like offerings. Eat, he said. Rest. You're not hired help here. Entiendes? You understand? She nodded, not understanding anything. The boss, he's... Tomas stopped, started again. He don't expect nothing, just needed to get you out of there, that's all. Why? The word came out broken. Tomas looked at her for a long moment. Ain't my story to tell. But he's a good man who's been half dead for a long time. Maybe helping you helps him remember how to be alive. He left her alone. Eliza sat on the bed's edge and stared at her hands. Still clenched, even here. Still white at the knuckles. She willed them open, forced her fingers straight. They laughed. The memory was a thing with teeth. They laughed, and I just stood there and let them. Outside, the sun was sinking. Golden light slanted through her window, catching dust motes, peaceful. The kind of evening her father would have called blessed. She couldn't eat. Tried to drink the water, managed 3 sips. Sat very still and tried to understand what happened, what came next, what she was supposed to do with a man who'd spent $60 and wouldn't look at her. Movement caught her eye. Through the window, Cole crossing from barn to house. He paused at the door, hand on the frame. Stood there too long, like he'd forgotten how to go inside his own home. Lamplight flickered on in the main room, golden, warm. Then she saw it, the way he moved his left hand, unconscious, touching his wedding ring with his thumb, turning it, once, twice, 3 times. The gesture of a man, checking to make sure something's still there, or wishing it wasn't. Eliza understood then. Different than she'd feared, worse in some ways. He hadn't bought her to use her. He'd bought her to save something he'd already lost. She sat in the dark of her room, watching that lamplight, watching his shadow move across it. A man alone, in a house too quiet. A woman alone in a room she hadn't chosen. Both of them broken in ways that didn't show. The windmill creaked. Night sounds started up. Coyotes distant, cattle settling, the barn door swinging on old hinges. Tomas's soft singing from somewhere. Spanish words she didn't know but understood anyway. Somewhere in all that sound, Eliza finally unclenched her hands. Tomorrow she'd figure out what came next. Tonight she just needed to stop shaking. She learned his routine in 3 days, up before dawn, coffee black, and gone to the fence line before she could say good morning. First morning, Eliza woke to sounds she didn't recognize. Boot steps on hard ground. Low voice speaking Spanish. Horse snorting, work happening while she'd slept. She dressed quick, in the same clothes from yesterday, only clothes she had, and opened her door to find the house empty. Coffee smell coming from the kitchen, 1 cup sitting by the stove still steaming. She followed the smell like a lost thing following light. Tomas stood at the counter, cracking eggs into a bowl, looked up when she entered, smiled gentle. Buenos dias. You sleep? Some. A lie. She'd lain awake counting ceiling beams. Boss is out checking the north fence. Be back noon, maybe. He gestured to the table. Sit, eat. Which I can help. The words came fast, desperate. I can cook, clean. I should... Senorita. Tomas set down the eggs, looked at her steady. Boss don't expect nothing. You're not hired help. Then what am I? The question hung between them. Tomas poured her coffee, pushed the cup into her hands. You're someone who needed help. That's all. Drink. She drank. It was good, strong and real. Made her want to cry, for reasons she couldn't name. I have to be useful, she said quietly. If I'm not useful, I'm just... She couldn't finish. Just someone laughing at. Tomas understood anyway. You want to help, you help. But not because you owe. Because you're here, and hands are better with work. See? She nodded. Felt something in her chest loosen just slightly. He taught her where things lived. How he took his coffee, sugar, lots. How the boss took his, black, hot, silent. Where the well was, how the stove worked. Which chickens were mean. They worked together easy. His presence felt safe. Grandfatherly, no expectations hiding under kindness. He talked while they cooked, told her about the ranch, about cattle and drought, and the year the windmill broke. Didn't talk about Cole. Danced around that subject like it had thorns. Noon came. Cole returned, leading his horse. Saw them through the window, Eliza at the stove, Tomas setting the table, and stopped, just stopped and stared like he'd forgotten people could fill a kitchen. He came in slow, hung his hat, washed his hands at the basin. Coffee's ready, Eliza said, tried to sound normal. Thanks. 1 word. He took the cup, she poured, drank, standing up, looking everywhere but at her. She'd set the table for 3. He noticed. Something crossed his face. Pain, maybe, or fear. I'll eat in the barn, he said. Boss, Tomas started. Got work. Cole grabbed 2 biscuits wrapped in cloth, left before anyone could argue. The door closed. Silence fell heavy. Tomas sighed. Give him time. How much time does 6 years buy? Eliza asked. Tomas looked at her sharp. He told you? No, but a man who lives like a ghost? Something died. I'll go see. Something like that. Tomas sat down, gestured for her to join him. Eat. His running away don't mean you should starve. And they ate together, 2 strangers making family out of necessity. Outside, through the window, she could see the barn door, closed. Him in there alone, probably not even eating those biscuits. What are you so afraid of? She wondered. But she knew she was afraid of the exact same thing. Days folded into pattern. She learned the rhythm of Broken Bell Ranch like learning a song. Dawn, Cole already gone, coffee made. Work started. Morning, cleaning, mending, cooking. Tomas teaching her ranch things. How to read weather, when to worry about cattle, what the coyotes sounded like when they were hunting versus when they were just talking. Noon, Cole returned, ate quick, left. Sometimes he'd pause at the door. Sometimes he'd almost look at her. Never quite did. Afternoon, more work. Tomas told stories, his daughter in California who didn't write, his wife, who'd made the best tamales in 3 territories, the time a rattlesnake got into the bunkhouse, and boss had carried it out barehanded because killing it felt wrong. Evening, 3 people, 1 table, careful silence. But something was shifting, small things. 4th day, she handed Cole a wrench while he fixed the corral gate. Didn't ask what he needed, just saw him reaching, knew the shape of the problem. Put the tool in his hand. He stopped, looked at the wrench, looked at her. Thanks, sir, he said. Actually met her eyes for half a second. Progress. 5th day, Tomas got her laughing with a story about a cow that thought it was a horse. Tried to jump a fence, got stuck. Boss had to butter its hind end to slide it back through. The cow or the boss? Eliza asked, smiling despite herself. Ambos. Both. Tomas grinned. Cole had just walked in. Caught the end of the story, the sound of her laugh. Went still, like he'd heard music he'd forgotten existed. She saw him stop, saw something cross his face, grief and hunger and fear all mixed. Then he looked away, quick. Went to his room, closed the door, but for a moment he'd looked, really looked. 6th day, Sunday. Church bells rang distant from Socorro. Cole stayed home like always, working. Tomas asked if she wanted to go. No, she said. Couldn't face that town yet, maybe ever. Evening came cool. They ate together, beans, cornbread, coffee. Cole still ate like he was in a race, but he stayed. Sat at the table instead of running. Tomas asked him about the fence line. Cole answered. 3 sentences, practically a speech. Progress. When Eliza stood to clear plates, Cole's hand moved. Not to help, just shifted like his body remembered helping before his mind could stop it. Caught himself. Left the table fast. She watched him go. Noticed his shoulders were slightly less tense than 3 days ago. Noticed he'd looked at her twice today, instead of 0 times. Small victories. That night, she lit the lamp in the kitchen before Cole came back from evening rounds. Not because he'd asked, because someone should make light for him. When he returned, he stood outside the window for too long, just stood in the dark, looking at that golden glow in his own house. She watched his shadow, wondered what he was thinking. He came inside eventually. Saw her waiting. You don't need to wait up, he said, soft, almost kind. I wasn't, she lied. They both knew it was a lie. He went to his room. She went to hers. But something had changed. Something small and fragile, like the first green shoot after winter. Not trust yet, but maybe the possibility of it. 7th morning, Eliza found herself alone in the main room. Tomas out with cattle, Cole gone early. The house felt different when no one was watching, like she could breathe without wondering what she owed for the air. She cleaned because work felt safer than thinking, swept, wiped counters, noticed things. The house was clean, but unlived in. Furniture placed like it served purpose, not comfort. No curtains, no pictures on walls, nothing soft or unnecessary. Except one thing. On a shelf near the bedroom door, a photograph in a simple frame. Woman and baby, both smiling at whoever held the camera. Eliza froze. The woman was beautiful. Dark hair, kind eyes, the kind of face that looked like it laughed easy. The baby couldn't have been more than a few months old. Small fist and tiny mouth, wrapped in white, written on the back, visible where the frame didn't cover. Sarah and Emma, 1886. Her stomach went cold, did math without wanting to, 6 years ago. She set the photograph down careful, like it might break, like she might break. Tomas found her still standing there an hour later, saw what she was looking at, made a soft sound in his throat. "You don't talk about them," Tomas said quiet. "What happened?" The question felt like trespassing, but she had to know. Tomas looked at her long, deciding. Ain't my story to tell, but he loved them more than breathing, and when they died, he stopped. He stopped breathing, too. Been a ghost ever since. How'd they die? Childbirth, both at once. Doc was drunk, couldn't. Tomas shook his head. Boss never forgave himself. Don't know why he thinks it was his fault, but he carries it like stones. Eliza's throat closed. She thought of her father dying slow, how she'd prayed and got nothing but silence. How that silence taught her God wasn't listening or didn't care. Maybe Cole learned the same lesson. Just faster, sharper. Is that why he bought me? Her voice came out broken. To replace them? No, Tomas said it firm. To save someone when he couldn't save them ain't the same thing. But it felt the same, felt like being a bandage on a wound that wouldn't close. She touched the photograph's frame. She was beautiful. See, and kind. And she'd hate seeing him like this, half dead, punishing himself. Tomas's voice went rough. Maybe you help him remember he's allowed to live, even if you don't think he deserves it. Eliza put the photograph back exactly where it was, exact angle, like she'd never touched it. That evening, Cole came home to dinner ready. Lamplit, house warm. He stopped in the doorway, same spot he always stopped. But tonight, his eyes went to the shelf, to the photograph, like he could tell someone had touched it. His jaw tightened. He looked at Eliza. She met his eyes, didn't apologize, didn't explain. They stood in that silence, her in lamplight, him in shadow, ghosts between them. I'll be in the barn, he said. But he didn't sound angry. He sounded tired and scared. And something else. Recognized. After he left, Tomas shook his head. You two are going to be the death of each other or the saving. Ain't no in-between. Eliza stared at the closed door, at the lamp she'd lit, at the space where a family used to live. Maybe both, she whispered. Outside, night came down soft. Stars appeared. Somewhere a coyote sang. And in the barn, a man who'd forgotten how to come home sat in the dark, touching his wedding ring, wondering why the hell $60 in a stranger's presence hurt more than 6 years of nothing. He asked her name on the 8th day, 8 days after he'd paid $60 and still called her nothing. At all. Morning came cool for the first time since she'd arrived. Hint of autumn, riding the wind. Eliza stood at the corral fence watching Cole work a section of wire that had come loose in the night. Cattle had pushed through, wandered toward the creek. Tomas was bringing them back. She'd brought Cole coffee without asking. Set it on the fence post near where he worked. He'd nodded but didn't drink it. Too focused on the wire, wrestling it back into place. The fence won. Wire snapped free, caught his hand, dragged metal across knuckles. He cursed, one short word she'd never heard him use, and pulled his hand back. Blood welled up fast, ran over his knuckles, dripped onto the silver band of his wedding ring. Eliza moved without thinking. You're bleeding. Cole looked at his hand like he'd forgotten it was attached to him. The ring was smeared red. He stared at it too long, watching blood and silver mix, watching something he couldn't name. She pulled the bandana from her pocket. Here. He didn't take it. Just stood there, caught in whatever he was seeing. Cole. First time she'd used his name. It broke the spell. He blinked, looked at her. Really looked this time, not past her shoulder or at the ground, but straight at her face. It's not bad, he said, but his voice was rough. Still needs wrapped. She held out the cloth. Take it. He did. Their fingers brushed, both flinched. He wrapped his hand himself, clumsy with one hand working. The bandana turned pink fast. The ring underneath was still visible. Tarnished silver, with a red stain he'd have to clean later, if he cleaned it, if he ever took it off. Wedding ring? She asked. Knew the answer. Asked anyway. Yeah. Oh, one word, door half open. I'm sorry. Was a long time ago. Same thing he'd probably said to himself 1,000 times. Still didn't believe it? She watched him flex his hand, testing. 6 years? His eyes snapped to hers, wary. How'd you? I'm not blind. Saw the photograph. Tomas told me. She said it simple. No apology in her voice. Sarah and Emma, 1886. Cole went very still. The kind of still that comes before running or breaking. Shouldn't have been looking through my things. It was on the shelf. I was cleaning. She met his eyes. I wasn't trying to hurt you. You didn't. Lie. They both knew it. The wire lay forgotten between them. Blood seeped through the bandana. Morning wind moved the grass. I lost my father last winter, she said quiet. Fever took him slow. Prayed every night. Got silence. She looked at the mountains. Still waiting for an answer? Cole's jaw worked. Yeah. Just that. But the weight in it. She understood then. They'd both knelt in front of God and heard nothing back. Both learned the same bitter lesson about mercy. I don't go to church anymore, she said. Me neither. And first real thing they'd shared. Not names or history, just absence. Just the shape of what wasn't there. Cole looked at his wrapped hand, at the ring underneath, at her. Eliza, he said. Your name. It's Eliza. I know. Took me too long to ask. You paid for me before you knew my name. I noticed. He flinched. Wasn't like that. I know. And she did. Whatever this was, it wasn't what she'd feared. What's mine? What? My name? What's yours? Stupid question. She knew his name. Whole town knew his name. But he understood what she was really asking. Who are you when you're not just the man who bought me? Who are you under the guilt? Cole, he said. Cole Brennan. Used to be a better man than this. Maybe you still are. He shook his head. You don't know me. No. She picked up his coffee cup, handed it to him, still warm. But I'm starting to. That evening, Tomas went to bed early. Said his back was bothering him. Might have been true. Might have been he wanted to give them space. Either way, Eliza found herself alone with Cole for the first time since the auction. Both sitting on the porch, her in the chair Tomas usually took, Cole on the steps, hat beside him, not talking, just existing in the same quiet. Stars came out, coyotes started their evening conversation. The windmill creaked, its one-note song. How long you had the ranch? She asked. Inherited it. My father's. Cole's fingers traced patterns in the dust by his boot. 15 years now. That's a long time. Yeah. She waited. He added nothing. Man of few words, but she was learning to read the silence between them. What did you teach? He asked, surprising her. Reading, writing, some arithmetic. She smiled small. Silver City Schoolhouse. Before... The word caught. Before my father died. He was proud of you, teaching. How'd you know? Way you talk about it. Like it was light you carried. His voice was soft. Sorry you lost that. The kindness hurt more than the auction had. She had to look away. They said dead auction, Cole continued, carefully. Said it was legal in territories. It is. Was. She clenched her hands, forced them open. Father borrowed against the house for medicine. When he died, the creditors... She stopped, couldn't say the rest. They auctioned you to recoup the debt, and he said it flat. Anger underneath. $60 worth of labor over 5 years. That was the contract. Legal don't make it right. The same thing he'd thought standing in that square. The reason he'd stepped forward. Church bells rang distant. Sunday evening Angelus. Somewhere in Socorro, people were gathering for Vespers. Singing hymns. Pretending they hadn't watched a woman sold like cattle 3 days ago. 8 days. 8 days since the auction. Felt like longer. You don't go to church, Eliza said. Statement, not question. No. Why? Long silence. So long she thought he wouldn't answer. Prayed once, he said finally, each word costing something. Got silence. She turned to look at him, saw his profile against the last light. Jaw tight, shoulders carrying weight she couldn't see. When? She asked, already knowing. 6 years ago. He stood up sudden, like sitting still hurt too much. Should get some rest. Cole. Good night, Eliza. He went inside. Left her on the porch with stars and questions. But he'd said her name twice. Used it like it mattered. Progress. Painful progress. But progress. The next days, something shifted between them. Not trust yet, but recognition. They worked near each other more. He fixed the barn door while she hung laundry. She swept the porch while he checked hooves. Proximity without pressure. Tomas watched them circle each other like two wounded animals learning the other wouldn't bite. Smiled to himself. Said nothing. Thursday afternoon, Cole announced they needed supplies. Town trip. Eliza's stomach dropped. I can stay here. Your choice. He was already moving toward the barn. But you'll need things eventually. Clothes. Women's things Tomas and I can't figure. He was right. She'd been washing the same dress every other night, wearing Tomas's old shirt during the day because it was all she had. Come if you want, Cole said. Stay if you don't. I ain't forcing nothing. The fact that he meant it made her decide. I'll come. Socorro looked the same as 8 days ago. Same dusty street. Same wooden platform in the square, where she'd stood. Eliza kept her eyes forward, didn't look at it. Cole rode in slow, careful, like he was bringing something breakable. People stared. Mrs. Henley in the store doorway. 2 ranchers outside the saloon. Father Miles crossing from the church. Everyone watching. Everyone calculating what it meant. Cole Brennan and the woman he'd bought riding in together. Cole hitched his horse outside the general store, offered Eliza his hand down. She took it because refusing would make a scene. Mrs. Henley met them at the door, smiled tight. Cole, Miss Monroe, what can I help with? She needs clothes, Cole said. Simple, like ordering flour. Mrs. Henley's eyes flickered between them. Of course. Come with me, dear. The dear felt like glass. Sharp underneath sweetness. Eliza followed her to the back where fabrics and ready-made dresses hung. Mrs. Henley pulled down 3 options, all plain, all serviceable. These should fit. She wouldn't quite meet Eliza's eyes. I'm sorry, about before. The auction. You should have done a lot of things. Eliza's voice came out harder than intended. You all should have. Mrs. Henley flinched. It was legal. Everyone keeps saying that. They stood in tense silence. Then Mrs. Henley sighed. You're right. Legal and right ain't the same. I'm ashamed we let it happen. She touched Eliza's arm briefly. But I'm glad Cole got you out. Eliza softened slightly. Thank you. He's a good man. Been dead inside since Sarah and the baby. Maybe you'll... She stopped. Maybe you'll help each other. Outside, Sheriff Pritchard had found Cole. Eliza could see them through the window. Pritchard's posture official, Cole's defensive. She gathered the dresses quickly. I'll take these. When she came out, the sheriff was mid-sentence. Folks are uncomfortable, Brennan. Cole saw her. Something in his stance shifted, protective. Folks can be uncomfortable. She's here on a debt contract. You keeping her proper. The implication hung ugly in the air. Cole's jaw tightened. She's free to go anytime. Ain't holding her against will. But Eliza stepped forward, found her voice. Mr. Brennan has been respectful, more than I can say for the men who laughed while I was sold. Pritchard had the grace to look away. Auction was legal, Miss Monroe. So was slavery once, Cole said quiet. Still wrong. Tension vibrated between them. Pritchard's hand near his belt. Cole's shoulders set. Two men who'd known each other years, suddenly strangers. You're making this harder than it needs to be, Pritchard said. Or maybe it should have been hard from the start. Pritchard shook his head, left without another word. Mrs. Henley wrapped the dresses in brown paper, took Cole's money, whispered, "Be careful." They rode back in silence. Heavy silence. The kind that comes after battle. Halfway home, Eliza spoke. They'll talk. Let 'em talk. Simple, defiant, the sound of a man choosing his line. She looked at him, really looked, saw him sitting straighter, saw something in him waking up, something that had been asleep 6 years. Thank you, she said, for standing up. You stood up too. He glanced at her, brief. That took guts. So did stepping forward at the auction. They rode the rest of the way home, and, for the first time since she'd arrived, the silence between them felt almost comfortable, almost like they were on the same side. Back at the ranch, Tomas took one look at their faces and knew. Town went well? Town knows where we stand, Cole said. Bueno, Tomas grinned. About time you stood somewhere. That evening, 3 of them ate together. Cole stayed for the whole meal. Talked about the fence, about cattle, about weather coming. Normal things, small things. But when Eliza lit the lamp before he came in from evening check, he didn't stand outside as long this time. He came in, sat down, stayed, progress. She found the photograph while cleaning, a woman holding a baby, both of them smiling at someone behind the camera. Cole left early to check water sources in the north pasture. Drought had the creeks running low. Tomas went with him, be gone most of the day. Eliza had the house to herself. She cleaned because stillness made her think too much. Swept floors already clean. Wiped counters that didn't need wiping, trying to earn the space she occupied. The photograph sat on its shelf like it always did. Sarah and Emma, 1886. She'd seen it before, that first week, let it be, but today, something pulled her back to it. She picked it up, studied it properly. Sarah was beautiful, the kind of beautiful that came from inside. Dark hair, gentle eyes, the corner of her mouth caught mid-laugh. The baby was perfect. Tiny fist, soft blanket, that newborn look of absolute trust. Both smiling at whoever held the camera, at Cole. Eliza turned the frame over. More writing on the back she hadn't seen before. My whole world. Spring, 1886. See. Her throat closed. She stared at that handwriting. Cole's hand, younger, hopeful, before whatever happened, before silence and guilt and 6 years of half-living. Math happened without her wanting it to. Sarah looked like her, not exactly, but close enough. Dark hair. Similar build, same age, probably. Emma would be 6 now, if she'd lived. Oh, God. Understanding hit like cold water. He hadn't saved her because it was right. He'd saved her because she could fill a hole shaped like someone else. The front door opened. Cole back early. Forgot the... He saw her, saw the photograph in her hands, went very still. What are you doing? His voice was careful. Too careful. Cleaning. She set the frame down, hands shaking. I was just... That's not yours to touch. I know. I'm sorry. She couldn't finish. Couldn't say what she'd realized. Cole crossed the room, picked up the photograph, checked it like making sure nothing was broken, put it back exactly where it belonged. The silence stretched too long. You look like her, Eliza said. Quiet, accusation hidden in observation. Don't I? Cole's hand froze on the frame. No. Liar. He turned. Eliza, is that why you bought me? The words came out sharp. All the fear she'd been carrying broke free. To replace them? To fix what you lost? That's not. What else should I think? Her voice rose. You see a woman in trouble. Dark hair, right age. And you just happen to... Stop. I'm not her. She was shaking now, anger and fear mixing. I can't be her. I won't... I'm not asking you to be anyone. Then why? She stepped closer. Why me? Why $60? Why bring me here and feed me and... Her voice cracked. Why look at me like I'm something you lost? Cole's jaw worked. I don't... You do. I see it. Every time you look at me, you're seeing someone else. That's not true, isn't it? She grabbed the frame, held it up between them. She's been dead 6 years, and you still wear her ring, still keep her picture, still live like you're waiting for her to come home. He flinched, like she'd struck him. I saw someone who needed help, he said, each word forced. That's all. That's not all. She set the photograph down hard, not breaking it, but close. You saw a way to fix something, to save someone this time, to not be the man who stood there and let them die. Silence. Dead silence. She'd gone too far, knew it, couldn't take it back. Cole's face had gone white. Get out. Oh, Cole, get out of my house. I didn't mean now. She fled, ran to her room, slammed the door, stood there shaking, hands over her mouth, trying not to scream. What have I done? An hour passed, maybe 2. Eliza sat on her bed, staring at nothing. She'd ruined it. Whatever fragile thing they'd been building, trust, understanding, safety, she'd taken a hammer to it. But she wasn't wrong, was she? He'd looked at her like she was a ghost made solid, like if he tried hard enough, she could become what he'd lost. Footsteps in the main room, Cole's voice low. I was trying to fix something. She froze. He wasn't talking to her. Talking to Tomas, who must have come back. Maybe, Tomas said, careful. But maybe you were also just trying to be a decent man. She's right. I saw someone who could... Cole stopped, started again. I saw her on that platform and I saw Sarah. Not the same, but close enough that it hurt. Eliza pressed her hand over her mouth, tears coming. And you saved her anyway, Tomas said. That counts. Does it, if I saved her for the wrong reasons? Long silence. Then, boss, why'd you really step forward? Another silence. Longer. Because they were laughing, Cole said finally, voice breaking. And everyone was watching. And nobody... He stopped, tried again. I stood there 6 years ago, watched Sarah dying, knew something was wrong, and I couldn't make a sound. Couldn't move, couldn't... His voice cracked completely. When I finally spoke up, finally grabbed the doctor, it was too late. 2 hours too late. And I swore, sharp breath, swore I'd never stand silent again. Never watch someone need help and do nothing. So you stepped forward, Tomas said soft. Yeah. But Eliza's right. Part of me was trying to save Sarah, save them both. Even though they're gone. Even though... Boss, you can't save the dead, but you can save the living. Can I? Cole's laugh was bitter. Look what I did. Bought a woman like she was cattle. Brought her here. Made her live with my ghosts. Made her feel like... He couldn't finish. Eliza slid off the bed. Moved to the door. Pressed her ear against it. She thinks I want to replace them, Cole said. And maybe part of me did. I don't know. I don't know what I want anymore. Been dead so long I don't remember how to want. You want to live, Tomas said. You're just scared to. Yeah. And she scares you. Terrifies me. Because? Long pause. So long, Eliza thought he wouldn't answer. Because she makes me feel something, Cole whispered. And if I feel, I remember. And if I remember, I have to admit, they're gone. Really gone. And I can't... His voice broke completely. Eliza heard movement. Tomas probably putting a hand on Cole's shoulder. You gotta let them go, boss, Tomas said gently. Keeping Sarah's ghost alive is killing you. And it ain't fair to Eliza neither. I know. So what are you gonna do? Silence. Wind through the open door, windmill creaking, evening coming on. I don't know, Cole said finally. Footsteps. Door closing. One of them leaving. Eliza stood in her room, tears running down her face. She'd been wrong and right, both at once. He had seen Sarah when he saved her. But he'd saved her anyway, saved her knowing she was her own person. Saved her because it was right, even if his reasons were tangled. And now she'd thrown it in his face, called him broken, accused him of using her. Maybe she had been used, but maybe he'd been trying. Maybe they were both just scared, wounded things trying to survive. Night fell. She heard Cole cross to his room, heard his door close, heard silence settle heavy over everything. She waited for sleep that wouldn't come. Outside her window, the lamp in the kitchen burned alone. Nobody had lit it tonight, nobody had waited up, the warmth was gone. The fragile thing, broken, and she didn't know how to fix it. He told Tomas the truth once, 6 years ago, standing over 2 graves, and he'd never spoken it out loud since. 3 days of silence. Eliza stayed in her room except for necessary things. Water, food when no one was watching, trips to the outhouse at dawn, when Cole was already gone. Cole slept in the barn, worked from before sunup to after dark, came to the house only for coffee he drank, standing, looking at nothing. Tomas moved between them like a ghost trying to haunt 2 different people. Brought her meals, told Cole to eat, got silence from both. The house felt hollow, like something had died inside it. 4th morning, Eliza woke to different air, heavy, thick, the kind of pressure that comes before monsoons break. Dark clouds building in the west, sky turning green at the edges, cattle restless in the pasture. She stood at her window watching, weather moving in fast. Cole was at the corral, bringing horses into the barn, moving quick but mechanical. A man going through motions because stopping meant thinking. Tomas found him there. She could see them talking. Tomas gesturing, Cole shaking his head, old man trying, younger man refusing. Finally, Tomas threw up his hands, walked away, saw Eliza in the window, looked at her long and sad, shook his head. Fix this, his look said, before it's too late. But she didn't know how. Didn't know what to say after what she'd accused him of. Afternoon came. Storm closer. Wind picking up, throwing dust. She finally left her room. Stood in the kitchen, looking at everything they'd built. Coffee routine, shared meals, lamp lighting, small moments of almost family. All of it hollow now. The photograph still sat on its shelf. She'd put that crack there. Taken their fragile thing and broken it because she was scared. Because she'd been laughed at and sold and hurt. And when something good started happening, she couldn't trust it. Had to find the wound. Had to push until it bled. She was her own worst enemy. Outside, first drops of rain began. Heavy, deliberate. The kind that meant serious weather coming. Cole came running from the barn toward the house. Saw her through the window. Stopped. They stared at each other across glass and rain. And 3 days of silence. He looked wrecked. Hollow. Like he'd been scooped out and what remained was just going through motions. She'd done that. Her words, her fear, her accusations. The door opened. He came in dripping, stood there breathing hard. Not from running, from something else. Storm's coming, he said. First words in 3 days. I know. Gonna be bad. I know. Rain picked up. Thunder rolled close. They stood in that kitchen, where they'd almost become something, surrounded by the wreckage of almost trust. I'm leaving, Eliza said. Had to say it. Soon as the storm passes. I'll work off what you paid, but somewhere else. I'll eat. No. Cole, I can't stay here. Not after. You were right. He said it flat. Dead. About everything. I did see her. Did try to fix something broken. Used you for it. That's not. It is. He met her eyes finally. And I'm sorry, but you can't go. Why not? Because. He stopped. Started again. Because you were also wrong. She waited. Thunder closer now, rain pounding the roof. I didn't want to replace them, Cole said, each word costing. I wanted to stop being the man who let them die. The rain was deafening now. Cole had to raise his voice to be heard. You want to know what happened? He asked. Really want to know? Yes. He looked at her. Something in his face broke open. 6 years of holding together, coming apart. Sarah went into labor early morning, March 9th, 1886. I rode for Doc Patterson. Found him drunk, brought him anyway because he was the only doctor we had, and his voice was flat, reciting facts, but his hands were shaking. He came, examined her, said everything was fine, but I could see. Cole's jaw worked. I could see something was wrong, the way she was breathing, the way she looked at me, scared. Eliza's throat closed. Doc said wait. Said first babies take time, told me to stop worrying. Cole's hands clenched. But I knew something was wrong, could feel it. Thunder crashed. Lightning lit the kitchen white. I stood there. His voice dropped. Stood by the bed, watching. And I could see her slipping. Could see the baby. He stopped, breathed, continued. Doc was fumbling, drunk hands, dropping instruments. And He looked at his hands like they belonged to someone else. I couldn't speak, he whispered. Wanted to scream, wanted to grab him, throw him out, ride for another doctor. But my voice, it wouldn't come. Like my throat was closed. Like someone had cut my air. Eliza took a step toward him, stopped. I stood there for 2 hours, Cole said, watching them die. Watching and knowing and unable to make a fucking sound. The curse broke something in him. His voice cracked. When I finally moved, when I finally grabbed Doc, finally yelled for help, finally found my voice, he stopped. They were gone. Both of them. Sarah, Emma, gone. Tears on his face now, rain on the roof, thunder shaking the walls. And I stood there, with my wife and my daughter dead. And my voice came back just in time to be useless. Eliza couldn't breathe, couldn't move. So, when you ask why I stepped forward, Cole said, looking at her with eyes full of 6 years of hell, it wasn't to replace them. It was because I couldn't. His voice broke completely. I couldn't stand there silent one more time. Couldn't watch someone need help and freeze. Couldn't be that coward again. Cole, you were right, he said. I tried to fix something, but not them. Me. I tried to fix the part of me that stood there and let them die. It wasn't your fault. I was there. I could have. The doctor was drunk. You were terrified. That's not. I was a coward. No. She stepped closer, rain pounding. You were human. He looked at her like she'd spoken a language he'd forgotten. You were scared, she said, each word firm. Your wife was dying. You were watching it happen. Fear doesn't make you a coward. It makes you human. But he didn't believe her. She could see it in his eyes. You don't understand, he said. I knew. Knew she needed help. Knew the doctor was useless. And I stood there like a goddamn statue. You were in shock. I was weak. You were terrified. She stepped closer. They were almost touching now, rain between them and around them and everywhere. Cole, you were watching your wife die. Your child. You were 25? 27. 27 years old, watching everything you loved die in front of you, and you're blaming yourself for not being superhuman. He flinched. The doctor was drunk, she pressed. That killed them, not you freezing, not you being scared. Him, his choices, his failure. I should have what? Delivered the baby yourself? Ridden 20 miles for another doctor while she bled out? There was nothing you could do except watch, and that's not your fault. That's just, her voice broke. That's just what happens sometimes. People die, and we can't stop it, and it's nobody's fault except maybe God's for making the world this cruel. Silence, except for rain and thunder. Cole stood there, water dripping from his hair, tears on his face, looking at her like she was speaking truth he'd never let himself hear. My father died slow, Eliza said, softly. Fever took him over 3 weeks. I prayed every night, begged, made bargains. And he died, anyway. And for months I thought, maybe I didn't pray hard enough. Maybe I didn't bargain right. Maybe if I'd... She stopped, breathed. But he was dying, and nothing I did or didn't do would have changed it. The fever was stronger than prayer. And that's not my fault. She looked at Cole. Just like Sarah and Emma dying isn't yours. Cole made a sound, half sob, half breath, like something in him breaking. I wear her ring, he said, voice raw. Every day, 6 years, can't take it off. I know. I keep her picture. I know. I live like if I just hold on tight enough, they'll come back. I know. Eliza's tears mixing with the rain sound. I know, because I do the same thing. My father's dead, and I still set the table for two, still make extra coffee, still turn around expecting him to be there. They looked at each other across that small space. Two people drowning in different waters, same ocean. When I saw you on that platform, Cole said, I saw her for half a second. You're right. Dark hair, same age, same... He stopped. But then I saw you, Eliza, standing there with your hands clenched and your chin up and everyone laughing. And I thought, not again. Not standing silent again, not watching someone need help and doing nothing. So you stepped forward. Yeah. He looked at his hands. And then I brought you here, and I didn't know what to do with you. Didn't know how to be near another person. Been alone so long I forgot how. Me too. Her voice barely there. They sold me, laughed while they did it. And when you bought me, I thought I knew what that meant, what men want from women they buy. He looked up sharp. I know. It took me a week to figure it out, but I know. She wiped her eyes. You're not that kind of man. You're the kind who punishes himself, who thinks he doesn't deserve anything good because good things die. They do die. Everything dies, Cole, but that doesn't mean you stop living. Thunder crashed so close the house shook. Rain coming sideways now, full monsoon breaking. I don't know how to stop, he said, small, broken. Don't know how to let them go. Don't know how to take off this ring and not feel like I'm killing them again. Eliza stepped forward, took his hand. The one with the ring. He flinched but didn't pull away. They're already gone, she said gently. The ring didn't keep them alive, and taking it off won't kill them. They're just gone, and you're still here, and that's allowed. Is it? Yes. He looked at their hands, his scarred and worn, hers smaller, holding on. You don't have to take it off today, she said, but maybe someday, when you're ready, when you can remember them without dying with them. He nodded, couldn't speak. They stood in that kitchen while the storm raged outside, both crying, both holding on, both broken and both maybe, starting to believe they could survive this. The rain was letting up slightly, storm still fierce, but the worst passing over. I'm sorry, Cole said, for what I said, for making you leave. I'm sorry, too, for what I accused you of. She couldn't finish. You weren't wrong. I wasn't right, either. She looked at him. We're both just scared, both trying to survive things that nearly killed us. Yeah, more thunder. Distant now, moving east. I don't want you to go, Cole said, quiet. But I understand if you need to. If being here, if I'm too much, if I don't want to go, he looked at her, hope and fear mixing. I'm scared, she admitted, scared of what it means to stay. Scared you'll wake up one day and realize I'm not her and never will be. Scared I'll just be. She stopped. You're not her, Cole said, firm. You're Eliza, you teach reading, you lost your father, you hate being useless, you light lamps before I come home, you defend me to sheriffs, even though you're terrified. You make Tomas laugh. He stopped, looked away. You make me want to live again, he said, so quiet she almost didn't hear. And that terrifies me, because wanting to live means admitting I've been dead, means admitting they're gone. And I'm still here, and his voice broke. And I don't know if I deserve it. Eliza squeezed his hand. You do? How do you know? Because you stepped forward. She said it simple. True. You saw someone in trouble, and you moved. Scared or not, guilty or not, you moved. And that's not what cowards do. He stared at her, tears running down his face. Rain still falling outside. You're not a coward, Cole, she said, each word a gift. Cowards don't step forward. Something in him broke completely then. He bent forward like he'd been hit. Sobbed once, hard. She held his hand. Didn't let go. Outside, the rain slowed. Thunder distant, storm passing. Inside, something was breaking and healing at the same time. 6 years of guilt cracking open. Not gone. Wouldn't be gone maybe ever, but cracked enough that light could get in. What do we do now? He asked, voice wrecked. I don't know. Honest. Figure it out as we go. Yeah, okay. They stood there. Rain dripping from the eaves, wind calming. Two broken people in the kitchen, holding hands like survivors of a shipwreck. Not fixed, not healed, but not drowning alone anymore. Tomas appeared in the doorway, soaked. Looked at them, their tears, their held hands, their raw faces, said nothing, just nodded, turned around. Went back out to tend the horses, giving them space, giving them time. Night was coming. The storm had broken. The worst had passed. Cole looked at Eliza. She looked at him. Thank you, he said. For listening, You don't have to thank me. I do. He looked at their hands. I really do. She nodded. Understood. Outside, the first stars were appearing through breaking clouds. Rain down to mist, cattle settling, earth drinking deep. Inside, two people breathed and started over. The storm passed before dawn, and when she woke, he was already gone. But the wedding ring sat on the kitchen table like a promise or a prayer. Eliza stared at the ring for a long time. Silver band with small turquoise inlay, scratched, worn, slightly bent from 6 years of never coming off, now sitting alone on wood grain, empty, waiting. She picked it up, felt the weight, lighter than she'd expected, heavier than anything. He took it off. Outside, dawn was breaking cool and clean, storm-washed air. Everything sharp and new, like the world had been remade in the night. She found Tomas at the barn, mucking stalls. He saw what she held, smiled slow. About time, he said. Where is he? North pasture, high ground. Been up there since before light. Tomas leaned on his pitchfork. Let him be. Man needs to talk to himself sometimes, or God, or whoever's listening. Eliza closed her fist around the ring. He okay? No, but he's trying. Tomas touched her shoulder gentle. You did good, señorita. Telling him what he needed to hear. I don't know if I helped. You did. Firm. Sure. First time in 6 years he's let himself breathe. That's something. She nodded. Couldn't speak. Go make coffee, Tomas said. He'll be back. And when he smiled. Don't make a big thing of it. Man took off his wedding ring. That's already big enough. Cole sat on high ground watching the sun climb. Land stretched out forever, grass and cattle and mountains purple in the distance. Sky too big to hide under. His left hand felt wrong, naked, light. He kept reaching to turn the ring with his thumb, finding nothing. The absence louder than presence had ever been. I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm sorry, Emma. But he was also, God help him, relieved. 6 years of wearing armor made of guilt. 6 years of punishing himself with memory. And now his finger was bare, and the world hadn't ended. He was still here, still breathing. Maybe that's allowed. Eliza's words from last night, echoing. You're not a coward, Cole. Cowards don't step forward. He wanted to believe her, wanted it so bad it hurt. The sun reached full morning, warmth on his face, wind through grass, cattle lowing, life continuing, whether he was ready or not. He looked at his empty ring finger, tried to remember what he wanted, who he was, without the guilt. Couldn't find it yet, but maybe he could learn. Mid-morning, 3 riders appeared over the rise. Cole saw them from the barn, knew before they got close. Sheriff Pritchard, 2 town councilmen, coming with purpose. Tomas saw too, muttered something in Spanish that was probably a curse, went to find Eliza. Cole met them in the yard, didn't dismount his own horse, made them look up at him. Brennan, Pritchard's voice was careful, official. We need to talk. So talk. The councilman shifted, uncomfortable. One of them, Harrison, owned the feed store, cleared his throat. Folks in town are uncomfortable with the situation here. What situation? Cole kept his voice flat. The girl, Harrison said. Miss Monroe. She's here on a debt contract. You keeping her proper? She's free to go anytime. Cole's hands tightened on the reins. Ain't holding her against her will. But she stays. Pritchard leaned forward. And folks are talking about what that means. About... The door opened. Eliza stepped out. 3 men's eyes went to her, judging, calculating. Cole felt something hot and protective surge in his chest. I'm staying because I choose to, Eliza said, clear, strong. Mr. Brennan has been respectful. More than I can say for the men who laughed while I was sold. Harrison flinched. The auction was legal, Miss Monroe, Pritchard said, but his voice was less sure. So was slavery once, Cole said, quiet, final. Still wrong. Silence, wind and tension. You're making this harder than it needs to be, Pritchard said. Or maybe it should have been hard from the start. Cole looked at each of them. You came to my land to tell me how to live. I'm telling you to leave. Brennan, leave, now. The councilmen exchanged looks. Pritchard's jaw worked. Town won't forget this, he said. Let them remember. Cole's voice was steel. I'm done standing silent. They left, dust trailing behind them. After they'd gone, Eliza brought him coffee. They sat on the porch, him on the steps, her in the chair. They'll come back, she said. I know. With more people, maybe worse than talk. I know. He drank, set the cup down. I'm sorry for bringing this on you. You didn't bring it. They did, when they laughed. She looked at the horizon. I'm not afraid of them anymore. Should be. Angry town, angry men, that's dangerous. So is standing alone. She turned to him. But we're not alone, are we? He met her eyes, saw strength there he'd given her by stepping forward, saw her giving it back to him now. No, he said, we're not. Tomas came out, sat on the rail. They'll be back inside a week, with the whole town probably. I'll let them come, Cole said. Boss, I stood by once, watched Sarah die. Stood silent while the town sold Eliza. I'm done standing aside. He looked at his bare ring finger. Done living like a ghost. Tomas grinned. About damn time. That evening, they sat together after supper. Comfortable silence. First time since the fight. Eliza finally asked, What happens now? Don't know, Cole said. Honest. Figure it out as we go. And together? He looks at her, really looked. Saw Eliza. Not Sarah, not a replacement, just her. Yeah, he said. Together. Outside, stars appeared. Clear sky after the storm. Everything washed clean. Inside, 3 people sat in lamplight. Not family yet, but maybe becoming it. Tomorrow would bring what it brought, but tonight they had this. And that was enough. They came at dusk with lanterns and law, but they didn't expect her to be the one who stepped between. 6 days after the sheriff's visit, Tomas rode in fast from town. Found Cole mending fence, Eliza hanging laundry. They're coming tonight, he said. Heard it at the feed store. Sheriff council, maybe 20 men. They'll say law, but it's a mob. Cole's hands stilled on the wire. How long? Couple hours, sunset maybe. Eliza's stomach dropped. She looked at Cole, saw him calculating, deciding. I'll go with them, she said. Quick, before she lost courage. Not worth you losing everything. No. Cole set down his tools, walked toward her. Not again, not you. Cole, they'll burn the ranch, run you out. I'll lose what matters if I let them take you. He said it simple. True. Already lost everything once by standing silent. Won't do it twice. Tomas nodded. I'm staying too. Tomas, you don't need to, Boss, shut up. The old man grinned. We're family. That's what family does. Cole looked at both of them, something in his face, fear and determination, and something like hope. All right then. He checked the Winchester by the door, didn't load it. We stand together. Eliza felt tears start. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Cole's jaw set. This might get ugly. Already been ugly, she said. This is just honest. Dusk came golden red. Dust on the horizon, riders approaching. Sheriff Pritchard led them, 8 men behind, maybe more. Town faces Eliza recognized, men who'd laughed, men who'd watched. Cole stood in the yard, Eliza beside him. Tomas on his other side, 3 against 10. The riders stopped. Pritchard dismounted. Brennan, Miss Monroe, time to settle this proper. His hand rested near his belt. She comes back to town, works the contract legal like, no trouble. She stays, Cole said. That's not your call. It is now. Men shifted, hands near guns, tension thick as the dust. Pritchard's eyes were sad. Don't make me do this, Cole. We've been friends. Then don't do it. Turn around. Go home. Can't. Town voted. This is law. Law. Cole's voice went hard. You keep saying that word. Like it makes this right. One of the men, Harrison from the feed store, moved his horse forward. Eliza saw his hand move toward his holster. Cole's hand moved to the Winchester, not pointing, just ready. Then Eliza stepped forward, put herself between Cole and the guns. No. Every man froze. Miss Monroe, Pritchard started. I said no. Her voice was steady, strong. You want me back on that platform? You'll have to drag me, in front of God and everybody. Silence. Wind. Tension crackling. They laughed, she said, looking at each face. You all laughed, or you watched while they laughed. You stood there and let them sell me like cattle, and now you come here talking about law? Harrison looked away, ashamed. So don't talk to me about what's legal, Eliza continued. Talk to me about what's right. Behind the men, a horse approached. Mrs. Henley from the store. She rode up, faced the group. She's right, Mrs. Henley said, quiet but firm. We should have stopped it then, I should have. She looked at Pritchard. I'm ashamed, Amos, and I won't be ashamed twice. Pritchard stared. Martha, this ain't... It is my business. Mrs. Henley looked at Eliza. I'm sorry. For my silence then. But not anymore. She stays. One of the other ranchers shifted. She's paid enough. Another nodded. Let it go, Sheriff. The mob fractured, conscience waking up. Pritchard looked at Cole, at Eliza, at his fragmenting authority. Brennan, if she stays, town won't forget. Cole stepped forward, stood beside Eliza. Let them remember. His voice carried weight now. Not the ghost man from 8 days ago. Someone alive. Someone choosing. I stood silent once, Cole said. Loud enough for all. Watched someone I loved die because I couldn't find my voice. Then I watched this town sell a woman like property because it was legal. I'm done being silent. Done letting legal hide from right. Pritchard's shoulders sagged. He knew he'd lost. Go home, Amos, Mrs. Henley said, gentle. We all made mistakes. Time to stop making them. The sheriff looked at his men. Half were already turning their horses. He looked back at Cole and Eliza. You're choosing her over everything. No, Cole said. I'm choosing right over easy. Pritchard nodded once, slow, defeated, but maybe understanding. They laughed, Eliza said. One last time. Let 'em. Taking back power, making the memory hers, the men left. Dust settling behind them, 3 people stood in the yard, alive, together, victorious, in the only way that mattered. Eliza turned to Cole. You already did enough. That was enough. And he shook his head. Wasn't about enough. Was about right. Above them, church bell rang once, distant, clear, like benediction. Tomas laughed, clapped Cole's shoulder. Well, that was something. First drops of rain began, gentle this time, cleansing. They stood together while evening came down soft. Survived, together, finally home. Sunday morning came cool and clean, and for the first time in 6 years, he put on a white shirt without shaking. Eliza found him at the mirror, fumbling with buttons. His hands still knew how to work wire and wood. Shirt buttons were different. Here. She crossed the room, fixed the collar he'd gotten wrong. Their eyes met in the glass. Both smiled. We going? She asked. If you want. I want. Tomas was already saddled up, grinning. Took you long enough, boss. They rode to Socorro together, 3 of them, morning light gold on the mountains. The platform still stood in the square, just wood now, no ghost. Eliza looked at it, felt nothing but distance. They can't hurt me anymore. Cole nodded, understood. Inside the church, Father Miles saw them, smiled wide, genuine. After Mass, Cole approached him, reached into his pocket, pulled out the silver ring. For someone who needs it, Cole said. Quiet. Someone starting over. Father Miles took it gentle. You sure? Yeah. The priest looked at Eliza. Back to Cole. Blessings on you both. They walked out into sunshine. Mrs. Henley waved from across the square. Others nodded. Not forgiveness yet, but beginning. What now? Eliza asked. Cole looked at his bare hand, then at her. Go home. Make coffee. Figure out the rest. Sounds good. Afternoon light slanted through the kitchen window. Eliza and Cole moved around each other easy now. Natural. She washed dishes. He dried. Tomas dozed on the porch, hat over his face. Thank you, Eliza said, for stepping forward, for everything. You stepped forward too. We both did. Silence. Comfortable. The kind that doesn't need filling. Evening came. Time to light the lamp. They did it together. Her hands and his on the same match. Golden light filled the kitchen, pushed back the dark. Cole looked at her, really looked. Saw someone alive. Someone choosing to stay. Some debts don't get paid back, he said. Soft. True. They get passed forward. She understood. Sarah and Emma, her father, the $60. The town's cruelty. All of it. Not erased, not forgotten, but transformed into something else. Into mercy. Into choosing life. Yeah, she whispered. They stood in lamplight, not touching, not needing to. Outside, the church bell rang one last time. Distant, peaceful, 2 people, 1 kitchen. Light in the window. Tomorrow would come with its own questions. But tonight they had this. And that was enough.